Let me tell you something that nobody else will. The world has been lying to you since the day you were born. They told you that you need people to be happy, that connection is the foundation of fulfillment, that solitude is something to be feared, avoided, medicated against. They made you believe that being alone is a punishment, a sign of failure, proof that something is fundamentally wrong with you. And you believed it, didn't you? You believed it so deeply that you've spent your entire life running from yourself, filling every silent moment with noise, every empty space with bodies, every thought with distraction. But here's the truth that terrifies them. The man who masters solitude becomes untouchable. He becomes his own fortress, his own kingdom, his own empire. And once you understand this, once you truly internalize this brutal reality, you will never be the same. Solitude is not loneliness. Let me make this painfully clear, because most people confuse the two and spend their lives suffering as a result. Loneliness is a weakness. It's the desperate ache for external validation, the hollow feeling that you're not enough on your own. Loneliness is what happens when you need other people to feel complete. But solitude, true solitude, is power. It's the conscious choice to be alone, to sit with yourself, to face the darkest corners of your mind without flinching. It's the ability to exist without requiring anyone else's presence, approval, or energy. And when you master this, when you truly become comfortable in your own company, something extraordinary happens. You stop being vulnerable. You stop being manipulable. You stop being weak. Think about it. Every single pain point in your life, every betrayal, every disappointment, every moment of desperation, it all stems from one thing: dependency. You depended on someone to stay and they left. You depended on someone to understand you and they misunderstood. You depended on someone to love you and they used you instead. And each time you broke a little more because you hadn't built your foundation within yourself. You built it on the shifting sands of other people's moods, promises, and intentions. That's not strength, that's structural weakness. And the world can smell it. People can sense when you need them, and the moment they sense that need, they own you. But the man in solitude, the man who has learned to be his own source of validation, his own source of peace, his own source of strength, he is a different creature entirely. He doesn't chase connection, he evaluates it. He doesn't fear abandonment, he expects it. He doesn't break when people leave, he watches them go with cold clarity and moves forward without missing a step. Why? Because his center is internal. His power doesn't come from outside, it radiates from within. And that makes him dangerous in a world full of people who are emotionally dependent, reactive, and desperate. Let me take you somewhere uncomfortable. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, and every single person you know is gone. Your family, your friends, your partner, everyone. There's no one to text, no one to call, no one to validate your choices or comfort your fears. It's just you, alone, with nothing but your thoughts and your will. Now answer this honestly. Would you survive? Would you thrive? Or would you collapse into yourself, spiraling into panic, desperation, and existential dread? If the answer is anything other than absolute confidence, then you are not free. You are a prisoner of your need for others, and that need is the chain that keeps you weak. Mastering solitude is not about hating people or rejecting connection. It's about becoming so complete within yourself that connection becomes a choice, not a necessity. It's about reaching a state where you can walk away from anyone, at any time, without hesitation, without guilt, without looking back, because you know, with absolute certainty, that you are enough. You don't need their laughter to feel joy. You don't need their presence to feel peace. You don't need their approval to feel worthy. You are your own anchor, your own foundation, your own fortress. And when you reach that point, the world shifts around you. People start to notice something different. They can't quite put their finger on it, but there's an energy about you that feels impenetrable. You're not distant. But you're not desperate either. You're not cold, but you're not seeking warmth from them. You exist in a space that feels self-contained, self-sufficient, sovereign, and that unsettles them, because most people live their entire lives in a state of emotional dependency, constantly looking outside themselves for meaning, for purpose, for validation. But you stopped looking outward. You turned inward. And what you found there was something they will never understand: freedom. The man who masters solitude understands something fundamental about human nature. He understands that people are temporary, not because they're bad, not because they're untrustworthy, but because change is the only constant. People grow, people evolve, people leave. Circumstances shift, priorities change. What was once a bond becomes a burden. What was once love becomes indifference. And if your entire sense of self is wrapped up in those connections, you will shatter when they inevitably shift. But if your sense of self is rooted in your own mind, your own discipline, your own purpose, then you become unbreakable. You can lose everyone and still not lose yourself. This is what Machiavelli understood, what Marcus Aurelius understood, what every great mind throughout history has understood. The only person you can truly rely on is yourself. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop waiting for someone to save you, the sooner you stop hoping for someone to complete you, the sooner you can begin building the fortress within. Because that's what mastering solitude is. It's the construction of an internal fortress, so strong, so well defended, that nothing from the outside can breach it. Not rejection, not betrayal, not abandonment, not loss. Nothing. But here's where it gets even deeper. Mastering solitude doesn't just protect you from pain, it amplifies your power. When you no longer need people, you start seeing them clearly. The masks fall away. The manipulations become obvious. The lies stand out. You're no longer blinded by your need for connection, so you see people for who they really are, not who you want them to be. And that clarity is devastating. You see the user before they use you. You see the betrayer before they betray. You see the weak before they try to drag you down with them. And because you see them, you can move accordingly. You're not reactive, you're strategic. You're not emotional, you're calculated. You're not vulnerable, you're sovereign. People will call you cold. They'll say you're distant, detached, unfeeling. Let them. Because what they're really saying is this: I can't control you anymore. They're used to people who need them, people who can be guilt-tripped, manipulated, emotionally leveraged. But you're not that person anymore. You've severed the chains. You've stepped outside the game, and they don't know how to handle that, so they project their discomfort onto you, labeling your strength as a flaw. But you know better. You know that what they call coldness is actually, and clarity, what they call detachment is actually discipline. What they call unfeeling is actually invulnerability. The world rewards dependence. Think about it. Every system, every structure, every social dynamic is designed to make you dependent. Dependent on approval, dependent on acceptance, dependent on validation. Because dependent people are controllable, dependent people are predictable, dependent people are weak. But the man who masters solitude breaks free from that system entirely. He doesn't play by those rules anymore. He doesn't need the job for his identity. He needs it for resources. He doesn't need the relationship for completeness. He chooses it for companionship. He doesn't need the social circle for validation. He maintains it for strategic value. Everything becomes a choice, not a need. And when everything is a choice, you have all the power. Let's go even deeper into this, because solitude is not just about being alone, it's about what you do with that aloneness. Most people, when left alone, immediately reach for distraction. They scroll, they binge, they numb themselves with noise because they can't stand the silence. But that silence is where the work happens. That silence is where you confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, the insecurities, the fears, the patterns, the wounds. And when you confront them, when you sit with them without flinching, without running, without numbing, something extraordinary happens. You integrate them, you process them, you transform them. And what was once a weakness becomes a source of strength. This is the alchemy of solitude. You take the raw material of your pain, your confusion, your chaos, and you refine it in the crucible of self-reflection. You don't need a therapist to validate your feelings. You validate them yourself. You don't need a mentor to give you answers. You find them within. You don't need a crowd to cheer you on. You become your own audience, your own coach, your own judge. And in that process, you become whole. Not half a person looking for another half to complete you, but a complete person who stands alone, fully formed, fully realized, fully powerful. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But there's a deeper truth beneath that. It's not about being feared or loved. It's about being untouchable. And you become untouchable not through aggression or dominance, but through self-sufficiency. When you no longer need anything from anyone, you become immune to their games. They can't guilt you because you don't owe them anything. They can't manipulate you because you don't need their approval. They can't break you because your foundation is internal, not external. You've become a fortress, and fortresses don't beg for entry. They stand tall and let others prove themselves worthy of access. Now let's talk about what happens when you truly master this. When you reach the point where solitude is not just comfortable but preferred, you start to see the world differently. You notice how desperate most people are, how they cling to toxic relationships because they fear being alone, how they compromise their values for acceptance, how they betray themselves to avoid abandonment. And you feel a mixture of pity and clarity. Pity because you remember being that way, and clarity because you know you'll never go back. You start to move through the world with a different energy. You're not seeking, you're selecting. You're not hoping, you're deciding. You're not waiting for permission, you're granting access. And people feel this shift. They sense that you're different, that you operate on a different frequency, and it draws them to you, ironically. The very independence that makes you need, no one makes everyone want to be near you. Why? Because scarcity creates value. And you've made yourself scarce, not through games or tactics, but through genuine self-sufficiency. You're not playing hard to, yet you genuinely don't need to get anything. And that authenticity is magnetic. But here's the paradox, and this is crucial. The more you master solitude, the better your relationships become. Not because you need people less, but because you choose them more intentionally. You're not connecting out of desperation, loneliness, or fear. You're connecting because someone genuinely adds value to your life, because their energy matches yours, because they respect your space as much as you respect theirs. And those connections built on mutual respect rather than mutual need are the only ones worth having. They're not codependent, they're interdependent. They're not draining, they're enriching. They're not chains, they're choices. And that makes all the difference. Let me give you a real scenario. You're in a relationship and something shifts. The other person starts pulling away, becoming distant, showing signs that they're losing interest. The old you would panic, would chase, would compromise yourself to keep them. You'd text more, try harder, sacrifice more of yourself in a desperate attempt to hold on. But the you who has mastered solitude, you do nothing, you observe, you evaluate. And if they continue pulling away, you let them go. No drama, no begging, no desperation, just a calm acceptance that they're no longer aligned with your path. And you move forward without breaking stride. Why? Because your peace doesn't depend on them. Your value doesn't depend on them. Your life doesn't depend on them. You're complete with or without them. And that non-reaction, that total lack of desperation, does one of two things. It either makes them realize what they're losing and they come back with renewed respect, or they leave and you continue unbothered. Either way, you win. This is the power of the fortress mind. You don't fight to keep people. You don't convince anyone to stay. You simply exist in your power, and those who are meant to be there will gravitate toward it. Those who aren't will fall away, and you remain unmoved by either outcome. Because your foundation is solid, your center is calm, your fortress is impenetrable. But mastering solitude requires discipline. It's not a one-time achievement, it's a daily practice. Every day you must choose yourself. Every day you must sit with the silence, face the discomfort, resist the urge to fill the void with distraction or connection. Every day you must reinforce the walls of your fortress, brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. And over time, those walls become so strong that nothing can breach them. Not betrayal, not rejection, not loss,